But I keep being torn, caught up by all my demons, lost without that love. And I'm a slave.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of On the Line Life Stories, where I speak to some incredible individuals who are related to Aston Villa in some manner about their life stories. And today, I'm joined by the Athletic and the Villa View presenter, Dan Bardell. Dan, after tough transfer negotiations, we finally got you on. How are you?
No, I think I'm very lucky that you've called me incredible there. To be fair, I don't think I've ever been called incredible before, and I think I'm very fortunate that you've delivered that because I've taken ages to get on, but I've got here eventually. It has been a tough negotiation period, but I'm here now, and I'm sorry it's taken so long.
It's absolutely fine, honestly. So I think we've talked over WhatsApp about football, the Villa View, but the last time I saw you in person was the Villa View Live. So how's life been for you during these conditions, during lockdown?
Bit of a weird one, really. At first, I wasn't really missing the football because Villa weren't very good.
Yes.
But then towards the end of the season, as we started to pick it up a bit in the start of this season, I've started to really miss it and miss going. It's obviously like really, in essence, my life hasn't changed that much. I've been quite fortunate. Obviously, no one likes being locked in the house all the time during lockdown, but it's been the same for everyone. But it hasn't really affected my work. It's affected like the media side of things a little bit, but I've been very lucky that it's meant the Villa View's come back, and it's meant that I can still do the Athletic because I can do all that stuff from home.
So you talk about the return of football there. Of course, Aston Villa starting their new season in the Premier League. A good win against Bristol City a few nights ago, as well as the opening victory against Sheffield United. How do you think we'll do this season? Do you think that any more players will come in through the door before October?
I think we'll probably get 2 or 3 more in. I think we've got areas that we need to improve on. I think you can see that the squad's a little bit short. The bench for the first Premier League game of the season, you looked at that and thought, there's 3 defenders there. There's definitely some work to do. In the squad, there's a couple of players we can probably improve on within the 18 as well. So I think we're in a good place, though. I think we're in a much better place than we were another year in the league. The players that like Louise, people like that, it will help them. You could see the difference in Louise after lockdown, and just having that experience now with those players that we did bring in last season. They've got 12 months of it now, so I think that'll be really helpful. And I just feel like we're in a good place. Obviously, we had the added bonus of Grealish signing a new contract, which I think was completely unexpected as well. If you'd have said to me 3 or 4 months ago that Jack would be signing a new deal, I'd have absolutely laughed at you because there was no chance of it happening. But things have changed, and he's going to be here now for the foreseeable. We've got some good players. There's still a couple of players to bring in, definitely. I think we'll get another striker in. I think there'll be a number 8 through the door, maybe a centre-back or another winger. But yeah, at least 3, I would say, are going to come through the door. And I'm excited for the new season. I don't envisage us being in massive trouble like we were this time last year. It would be nice to have a pain-free season and not have to worry about the stress of staying up or getting promoted. So I'll just settle for a nice, easy season, to be honest.
I think you can see that you're a really passionate Aston Villa fan. And I was talking to Max Stokes on a previous episode about how he's introduced to football. And it was quite late. So for yourself, when you introduced Aston Villa Football Club, which caused you to introduce you to all these media side of things, and you go to more games with your dad and your family. But most importantly, when you were introduced to football, how was it? From what age were you introduced to the sport?
I've had a season ticket since I was 7, so I'm 35 now. So I've been going a long time. Obviously, I moved out of Birmingham when I was about 21, and I've just continued to keep my season ticket and go to every home game, go to as many away games as I can. But literally, as soon as I showed like a little bit of interest in football, my dad pulled me down and got me down to Villa Park. I think that was like 1992 or 1993. It was my first game, and since then I've never really looked back. And I've always gone. The first chance he got me a season ticket. So I've just been lucky, really, that my dad wanted me to be into Villa. He wanted me to be into football, and I guess it's lucky for him as well that he had a son that was interested in his hobby. So he's been going for like between 50 and 60 years now, been going to Villa Park. So that's something that I actually really miss at the moment, because obviously I was going to the football with my dad every couple of weeks, without being morbid. He's not getting any younger. It's not something that's going to happen forever. So I feel like I'm losing out on that time with him. But yeah, as soon as I showed any inkling of interest in football, I was at Villa Park. And I think when I was younger as well, Sean Teal's kid was in my class at school as well. So I used to see Sean Teal at school, who was obviously Villa's centre-half at the time quite regularly as well. He lived by us. So just always had an interest in it, and it's just never gone anywhere. And as my wife will attest, my love for football just continues to grow every year, and I watch as much football as I can. I obviously watch all of Villa, and it's my main love, my main hobby. Don't edit out main love. I didn't mean that. It's one of my main loves.
We'll cut that bit out. We'll cut that bit out.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
So, if you talk to many of the Villa faithful, their first experiences to Villa Park are probably one of their best. I remember myself, it was a negative result on the day, but going to Villa Park and seeing this grand stadium with such passionate fans, it was an amazing experience for me. So, what was your first game at Villa Park like with your dad or whichever family member it was? What do you remember from that day?
I can remember it quite well. The thing is, because I'm older than you, my first game experience is gonna be very different to yours. So you probably won't even think this is a real thing. But I had to stand on a milk crate at my first game because it was all standing. You used to do. There wasn't like a designated area where you went in the whole tent. So I've always like been in the whole end. I've never had my season ticket's always been there. I've always been in the whole end. So in those days, in 1992 or 93, whenever it was, you had to have like a milk crate. So my dad had to carry a milk crate to the ground, and you'd stand on it so that you were at the same level as everyone else. So I remember that, and then I think it was a couple of seasons later it went to all seater, and that's when I've had my seat that I've always had. We won 2-0, so that was a good start. We beat Ipswich 2-0, and Dean Saunders probably scored one of the best goals I've seen at Villa Park. It was like a lob from 35, 40 yards. Daly and Atkinson scored as well. And when I was young, probably not like you, I was quite lucky because Villa were good.
Yeah.
So again, it's easier to get into something when you're used to seeing your team win. Villa used to win most of their games at Villa Park for the first part of my life. So it's very strange when we became not very good and had to get used to the other side of things. But we always had good players when I was younger. We used to win most weeks at Villa Park, and we won a couple of cups quite early in my day as well. So if you'd have told me in 1996 when we won that cup, the second time I'd seen us win a trophy, that would I'd go to 35 and not see us win anything else again, I would have just genuinely not believed. And it really is quite tragic that it's been that long since we won anything. But there's been near misses and there's been good moments. But I'd love to see us win something, as I'm sure every Villa fan would.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me when I went to my first game in 2012 in the Lambert era that we would have gone on this fantastic journey down to the Championship, back to the Premier League, I wouldn't have believed you, because quite honestly, I went to Wigan at home, which was a 3-0 loss, as well as Southampton at home. Yeah, and it was atrocious. Honestly, it was that bad. Seriously,
bad. Those two games. I was very early in my relationship with my wife then, and I took her to those. She went to a couple of those. She went to both those games. In fact, it just wasn't a good advert for this is my hobby, because it looks like, why would you put yourself through something that gets you so upset and you don't enjoy? But to be fair, as I've got older, I've mellowed a bit with it. You just like you get used to winning, you get used to losing a little bit. So how we are at the moment, and a nice change again. But you've had an absolute stinker. If that's your first exposure to football, your first exposure to Villa, it's not a great start at all.
Thanks, Dad. It's not great. So you talk about Villa Park and you look at the specifics of Villa Park, the actual architecture, but as well as the fans who, game in, game out, when fans were attending these games, were the roar behind the team. So if you look back at your Villa history as a Villa fan, what games to you were the best atmosphere? Because for me, I think it has to be West Brom at home, first leg of the playoffs, the season we went up. I believe that the atmosphere there was incredible. But of course, you've been a Villa fan for much longer than me. So what are some of your best experiences regarding the Villa faithful at Villa Park?
The one that always stands out, again, being a Villa fan, you have to get used to near misses. So it was 1998 against Atletico Madrid, and we got knocked out on away goals. We lost 1-0 in the first leg, and we went 2-1 up in the second leg. So we just needed one more goal, and we go through it. In those days, again, Villa used to be in what was the UEFA Cup, so now the Europa League, most of the time in my childhood. So it was just those big European nights. So that, when Stan Collymore banged in one from 30 yards, honestly, it felt like the roof was going to come off. I've never experienced noise like it. It was absolutely incredible. And the atmosphere in the whole end can be absolutely wonderful. And the game you talk about, the West Brom game, obviously remember that as well. But those European nights, I hope that young Villa fans will get to experience them at some point, because they are absolutely incredible. And we beat Inter Milan on penalties in 1994, four, I think it was. That was my first European game that I went to, and we obviously beat Inter Milan. It used to be 2 legs, just straight knockout in those days, and I wish the Europa League would go back to that, because honestly, some of those games were incredible. There's been some great games at Wembley. The Jack Grealish semi-final against Liverpool, that atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable, considering it was a semi-final. I think that probably goes down as a lot of Villa fans' favourite days. I just loved that day. We went there, no one expected us to beat Liverpool, and we did, and we played really well, and we had a good little team under Sherwood for that short spell. But there's been so many moments, so many good players that I've watched over the years. Not so much since you've started going. It's getting back to that now, where you have the good players. But honestly, my childhood as a Villa fan, I mean, even before me, there'll be people whose childhood as a Villa fan would be better than mine, getting to go to a European Cup final and things like that. But I was very lucky that when I was growing up, we were good, and we had some really good players and some people that are heroes of mine still today, and people that I've been lucky enough to meet as well.
I mean, to mention Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid with Villa
Exactly.
in the same sentence just bemuses me.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to Wigan on a Tuesday night, for example, because
Exactly.
hasn't been great at all. So
can you imagine Bayern Munich in a Champions League final?
I can't at all.
I don't think that'll ever. I'd like to say it'll happen again, but I can't imagine that will ever happen again. It's certainly not while I'm alive. Maybe when you're alive, but not from there, I don't think.
So you talk about, as well, your connection, relationship with your dad, going to these games, and how attending Villa games throughout the years has meant that yourself and your dad have been keeping in contact much more often, as well as seeing each other in person. So you talked about briefly at the start how not attending these games, you've missed it a lot in terms of interaction with, imagine, your dad and many Villa fans who know you from social media, the Villa View, the Athletic. So how have you found watching or experiencing a match day at home compared to Villa Park?
It's not as enjoyable, is it? It's the whole thing feels a little bit hollow at the moment. Like the first game of the season was when it really hit me, because I don't think I've ever missed the first game at Villa Park since I've had a season ticket. So I really can't remember a first game at Villa Park that I've missed. At 35, that's the first time that's happened to me, and it all feels a little bit hollow. It's not the same like the fans there, even watching it on telly. I mean, I'm used to watching Villa games on telly because obviously I don't go away every single week, so I've watched away games on the telly for years. But even just watching it feels more hard work without there being fans there, and it must be really difficult for the players. It must be a really weird atmosphere trying to play in it, and just the way the world is at the moment, there's a little bit of the shine taken off it. But saying all that, I'd rather it was there on the telly than nothing at all, because I'd be bored out of my mind with no football on. And it felt like we were getting close again to getting back to Villa Park, and now it just feels a million miles away again. And it's really sad, because you do miss seeing people. As I say, it's something I do with my dad every 2 weeks. I can guarantee I'll go back and see my parents and go to the football with my dad and see friends. And it is disappointing. Obviously, I was doing fan cams and stuff for a long time as well, so I was talking to a lot of people. A lot of people come up to me at the ground. I get to meet so many great people, and it's been a really great experience for me over the last 4 or 5 years. But it isn't the same, and I'm dying to get back now. I just want life to go back to normal and get back to Villa Park and watch some football.
Unfortunately, it won't be like that for a long time. Of course, because I saw on Twitter that, wasn't it the Super Cup, the stadium held around 20,000 supporters for that game?
I didn't see it, to be honest, because I was watching whatever was on, it was Villa. Was it not Villa were on?
Yeah.
So was it last night? Yeah, I think Villa were on one. So I don't know what the score is, to be honest. So I haven't seen anything of it. But they were just starting to get back on the right track of getting people in, and now it's completely gone again. I mean, without getting all too political and stuff, a lot of the rules and stuff that are going on at the moment are an absolute joke. I've got zero faith in the leadership and what's going on there. The fact that 130 people were allowed to go shooting without masks and stuff the other week, and all that was allowed. I mean, there's so much wrong with that. Don't even get me started. But I felt like it was getting close, and now it's gone again. And I don't think it'll be this season now. So it's going to be a whole season of not going to Villa Park. And if you'd have told us that 2 years ago, it's quite frankly bizarre, isn't it? But I get it, I understand it, but I miss it incredibly.
I imagine during these times as well, you cherish your memories with your dad and fellow friends at Villa Park and away even more. And looking back now, what are some of your favourite moments with your dad? Because for me personally, I believe that football and me playing football has really strengthened my relationship with my dad. So What are some of your favourite memories, not just for Villa, but attending Villa games and potentially doing Villa and football related activities with your dad?
I think because we've been going so long, they kind of all roll into one a little bit. And I don't think I've always appreciated the fact that I'm very lucky to have that relationship with my dad. I'm very lucky to go and see football every 2 weeks with him. It's like quite a privilege to be able to do that. But you do end up taking it for granted a little bit. I've missed away games as well, just because they're like a different thing for me. Like I go to home games with my dad, and I'll go to away games and go with my mates and go to the pubs, and it's literally an all day and an all night thing. And I've missed that because I know Fulham's coming up on Monday, and I know that's one I would have definitely been at. But over the last few years, I think just doing the Villa stuff that I've done, I've been quite lucky in that I've enabled my dad to meet some really good people and see some really cool things that not necessarily all Villa fans would have been able to see and take part in. And just I've felt that bit closer to the Villa fans and the club, and he's got to experience that as well. So that's been nice, and that's been like a payback for all those years when I was a kid, when he paid for my season ticket and things like that. And just when I was doing the presenting for Villa, he could come and watch me do that every week for that year, doing that with Tails, and he got to meet Tails, and that was a really big thing because he's in my dad's top 3 ever players. And it's just been stuff like that really that I've been lucky that I've been quite exposed to life behind the scenes at Villa, and I've been able to get my dad involved in a few things. And I think he doesn't say it very often, but I think he's quite proud of all that stuff. So that's been nice, and it's been nice to pay him back in some small way with that.
Do you think that you would have pursued activities within the fan media industry as much as you have without going to Villa games with your dad and maintain that relationship and his support for you?
I don't know really, because it's a bit of a weird one, because I always wanted to get into media, but then I left uni at 21 and then just ended up getting a normal job, and I've stayed doing normal jobs all that time, and I'm very lucky that I've got a good job that pays well and enables me to have a nice life. But realistically, it's not what I'm interested in, and I used to do a bit of blogging, a bit of writing. I mean, that's all got away from me now. I don't really do that because I don't have the time, and I end up doing a lot of video stuff through the week. And the Villa View came along, and I kind of knew Matt Lynch who was doing it, and I just thought, I fancy a bit of that. I think that could be quite good. There wasn't any Villa fan channels going on at the time. There was no Villa videos or podcasts, which again, that was only a few years ago. And now there's about 150 fan channels. There's all kinds of podcasts, Villa fan podcasts going on. So there wasn't really anything like that at the time. So I just got in touch with him and Rollo, and they were just happened to be looking for someone, and I thought that I was the right person. So I just ended up doing it, and that's ended up like reigniting me wanting to get into the media world. And obviously I do the Athletic every week. That's paid work in the media, presenting, which is brilliant. I'd love to get enough to leave my job, but it's probably not going to happen. I'll keep trying, and I'll try for as long as I can to break in. But it's obviously a lot of people want to get into it. A lot of people want to do it. It's quite cutthroat and dog eat dog as well. So it's hard to break in, but I feel like I've been on the cusp a few times. I've had stuff that's come close. I still have to hold a belief that it will happen. So the Villa View it wasn't what I wanted to do initially, but it ended up being a vehicle for trying to break into the presenting world and trying to get myself some work out of it. And I've had some good times with it. I've had some bad times with it as well, but I feel like I'm in a good place at the moment, and I'm on the right track again. So hopefully something will happen.
I think the main talking point of this podcast is about first-time experiences, and we've seen yourself go from attending your first session with the Villa View to now working for mainstream broadcasters and sporting websites. So for you then, recording your first video or writing your first article for several websites, how was that experience for you, and how much have you grown since that?
I think if I was to watch back the first Villa View I did now, I'd probably be quite embarrassed by it. But yeah. It's just like you get better at things, but by doing them, I've spent my whole life talking about Villa in some way. So really, it's quite natural in some ways to come on and do these things and talk about Villa, because it's what I do in life anyway. Because as I say, Villa's my main hobby. It's one of my main passions. And the written side, it was kind of faceless, wasn't it? You just writing it. You start a social media account. People start to get to know you a little bit. But since I've done the Villa View, obviously the followings exploded a lot of Villa fans would, well, I'm not saying I'm famous in any way, shape or form, but a lot of Villa fans would know who I am. They're interested in what I say. And it's been amazing, really. Like when we started it, I could never have dreamt that I'd gone on to do some of the things that I've done, met some of the people that I've met as well. So I appreciate it. And I think I'm very, very lucky, but I just wish I was a bit younger. I wish I was like you, and I wish I was young, because I kind of started it all quite late in the day. So I probably would have been over 30, I think, when I started the Villa View. So I'm trying to break into something at quite an old age, whereas you've obviously got your whole life ahead of you. You're doing all the right things now, and you're making a really good job of it, and it's something you're obviously passionate about. And again, because you've started so young, you'll get better at it. But I still have days where I do the Villa View and I come off a video and think, wasn't my best performance there. I can do better. So it's just about learning and trying to get better all the time. And that's what I try and do. And I'm sure that's what you're trying to do as well.
Yeah, because I remember, for me personally, when I did my first fan cam session for the Villa View, I was so nervous. And I remember meeting Tom outside of Villa Park after a Brighton game, and he just went, "Here you go." And my brain just went all over the place. So imagine for yourself, bear in mind the Villa View was in its early stages, early years, and you were tasked with speaking to Villa fans after games. Did you find it quite, I wouldn't say intimidating, but you're quite nervous in approaching to do this role because you don't know them and it's quite an unknown thing to do at that time?
A little bit, in the sense of, if not many people turn up, it's not going to be very good if there's not many people to talk to. But from a personal point of view, I've never really been someone that gets nervous about things, and this is the kind of thing I believe in myself. I believe that I can do it. So it was always just a case of, if the people turn up, I know it'll be okay. And it's more about, the fan cams, for example, is more about getting stuff out of other people than anything I would say. It's the podcast that are doing the live stuff we're doing on YouTube. That's where it becomes a little bit more about your opinion. But I can understand that you'd be nervous, because obviously a young lad, but I suppose that's where being a little bit older and a little bit more streetwise probably played in my favour a little bit, because I'm probably older than most of the people, or some of the people that I'm interviewing. Whereas for you, probably, you're interviewing men and speaking to people that are a lot older than you, and it's something that you haven't done before. It's just, you just get used to it, and you get better every time you do something. You'll have off days, like I say. I came off the video last night and thought, I could probably do a little bit better there. That wasn't my best ever display, but it's just about learning and making sure that you learn from your mistakes, and you'll be absolutely fine when you get going. Because by the time you hit the age I was when I started it, you'll have done hundreds and thousands of things.
Yeah. So, because you talk about these games, attending with your dad, and some of these fantastic moments. So imagine coming back off that and attending these Villa View fan cam sessions when you have done them would have been quite an extraordinary experience, because you get the fans' views off the cuff and haven't had time to process their thoughts, and it's become such an entertaining piece of content. So which fan cams videos, because you talk about the fact that you come off the video last night, and I personally didn't think that I thought you did a great job, and you come off the video last night thinking that you didn't do a great job. But which fan cams videos have you been really proud to share with your mates and your friends and online?
I think the ones where you beat Birmingham City and all the fans are around, everyone's jumping on each other, and that's not even me doing anything, but I think that is just the one where it portrays and shows what football's about, and why we all go for these moments, so that we can all enjoy them. I wouldn't say I've ever been massively proud of fan cams from a personal perspective on things I've done. I think I've done things that would be better than that, and things that I can be personally proud of. But what I like about fan cams is you build up a rapport with people, and you get to know people. Like Adam Wright, for example. You look at what fan cams have done for him in his life. He challenged himself to come on with his stammer and do fan cams, and now he comes on videos. He was doing fan cams every week, and he does so well, and he talks so well. And I think about what that's done for his life and what an impact it's made. So I think the Villa View, for me, it's more for fan cams what it's done for other people, and it's the confidence that it's given other people, and it gave you a chance, for example, to go out and do something that you wouldn't have been able to do without the Villa View. So for fan cams, I think it's more for me about enabling other people to do things. Little Tom as well. Like, yes. I love doing fan cams and talking to little Tom Griffiths. He's just, for someone so young, he talks so much sense, and he just always makes me smile every time I see him. So it's more the memories of meeting people and making friends with people. Like, I talk to Adam Wright quite a lot, and I talk to Tom and his dad quite a lot as well. So it's just about making those friends. But we've done some great things at the Villa View and things that I'm really proud of. The live shows and raising a load of money for the foundation. That's something that I'm really proud of. The video that me and Rollo did walking around Wembley, telling the tale of the season. Like, people still look at that now and people still talk to me about that now. Like, I know, without being big-headed, that was a really good piece of content, and I know that would have been good enough to be on TV and stuff. I mean, it did end up on Sky Sports anyway. They had it on their website. So it's things like that from a personal point of view that I'm proud of, because as a fan channel, we didn't want to be that stereotypical like Arsenal fan TV where the fans go on and they're moaning and they're swearing, and it just, I think that portrays Arsenal in a negative light. We wanted to give people a platform to have their say and do it in a reasonable manner. And we'd never wanted to be a channel that got on the club's back. We wanted to be an extension of the club and try and build a close relationship with the club, which we did for an amount of time. And then it kind of moved away from that a little bit. But we've never been ones to slag off players, to be too OTT. And I think the Villa View has been good for me. It's been good for a lot of people. Obviously, you look at Rollo going now and working in the industry full time. Matt Lynch, the same. It's just been a really good vehicle for people, and long may it continue.
Now, I think you've done a great job with the Villa View, and ever since I've been involved with it for those 6 months, I've really enjoyed it. And I think it's, like you said, it's a great way for people of any age, of any gender, of any sex to come on and speak themselves and portray them in the best possible way they can. But if you look past those few years of you doing it, yes, you have raised lots of money for charities and you've done all these fantastic things, which is fantastic. But for you personally, do you wish you could have done even more?
It's very difficult when it's not your full-time job. It's very difficult to make more of it, and then people end up getting extra work commitments and they end up leaving. Like, just like in the last couple of weeks, like we were all set to go. We've got a load of good plans, and then boom, Tom can't do it anymore for obviously reasons I can't talk about. But Tom can't do it anymore, and it's like a massive bolt from the blue, and all your plans are like in tatters, really. So we have to have a little bit of a rejig again, and we're lucky to be able to get Dolan back in, who's very good. I've got a good rapport with him, and I'm looking forward to doing it with him again. But it's very difficult to do more. I think we've maximised what we've been able to do over the years. And initially, without lying, I did it because I wanted to end up working at the club, and I was very lucky to have that year's experience and do that Facebook Live with Tales for a season. It was that was like one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and it was a dream to work for the club and do that job. I absolutely loved it. Would love to do it again, but the club went in a different direction, and that's their call. Obviously, that's to them. It's different people come in, and different people have different ideas, and that's life. And people have left the club over the years that's probably ended up hindering me, but that's football, and that's media. There's nothing I can do about that. But from the Villa View, I think it would have been very difficult to do anymore. If it brought in money, I would have obviously ditched my job, and you'd love to do it full time and doing multiple videos a day and be doing all sorts. But Villa, having been in the Championship for the whole time virtually that I've been doing it, that wasn't helpful, because Villa didn't have the pull to bring more subscribers in. And even now, it's a slow and steady process getting the subscribers in. I don't think the Villa View would ever be full time. I'd love it to be, but I do also think that we did our best, and we've maximised what we can over the years with having full time jobs as well.
So you talk about the experience with the Villa, with the Facebook Live, and I imagine, was it for you that those experiences helped you become the best presenter that you could possibly be, and making those potential mistakes and making friends with Ian Taylor, one of your heroes? Was that such a fantastic experience for you personally as a fan, but as well as developing your skills as a presenter?
Without sounding cocky again, I think I've always backed myself and know that I can do it. And everything I've ever done, I always try and treat it as if it's live, so that if you're in a live environment, like I'll try and give you as minimal editing as I can today, and try and talk all the way through, so that you don't have to do anything. Like, it's just always the way I've been with it, is just try and treat it as a live thing. So when I started doing it, I felt a little bit used to it, and I'd already met Tails a couple of times, so I knew that he was a good laugh, and I knew he'd put me at ease, and I knew I wouldn't get any pressure from him, and that he was a very good talker. So literally all I was doing was asking questions. As long as I knew what I was doing and what I was asking, I'd be fine, because I wasn't there to give my opinion. I'm there to get stuff out of Tails and have a laugh with him live on the Villa channels. And I'm very lucky to have done it. It's something that like I can be proud of, and I can tick it off my list as saying that I achieved that. And Tails was my absolute hero as a kid. I absolutely loved him. As a Villa fan, I wanted to be Ian Taylor. Everyone sat in the hole and wants to have that transition of sitting in there as a fan, and then you end up playing and scoring for your club in a cup final and being there for a number of years. And they can't get rid of him now. He's club ambassador. He'll be there forever. You'll never get rid of Tails. But yeah, very, very lucky to have had a good rapport with him, and doing that has meant that my hero as a kid is a friend and someone I talk to most days on WhatsApp and things. And yeah, really lucky that I've been able to drag him into things that I've done with the Villa View as well. He's always been really good to me and good to the channel, and he's just a funny guy and a top bloke. Everyone loves him, and rightly so, because he's a great guy, and I can't speak highly enough of him, and I'm honoured that he even knows who I am, to be honest.
So you talk about knocking on mainstream's door, and you did a fantastic work with the Villa regarding the Facebook Live. So regarding The Athletic, which you work for now with Greg Evans, is a great podcast. How did this opportunity come around?
Basically, Greg, I didn't really know Greg until the last year or so, but he'd always said that he'd always liked what I'd done on the Villa View. He'd always kept up with it as a journalist to see what's going on and what the fans are thinking around the club. So I think he obviously he rated me and thought that I was quite good, and The Athletic was starting a podcast, and I was lucky enough that he put me forward. I mean, you can't put a price on stuff like that, because you'll see as you get older and in the media world, very few people follow through and do things that they say they're going to do. But he did that. Like Greg, again, I can't speak highly enough of him. He's such a great bloke, and he's been so good to me, and he's given me this opportunity, and it's a great platform, and it's a good showcase for me of what I can do as a presenter. And again, hopeful that it'll lead to other things. I think The Athletic are very pleased with what I'm doing and what we're doing with the podcast, so that's great. But yeah, you need people to be on your side, and Greg's someone that I've had on my side, and I've been very lucky, because without him, there's no way I'd be doing that. And that, to me, having paid media work it's a really big thing for me.
So going forward then, you're doing these regular shows each week after games and summarising the main talking points regarding Villa. So what are your future plans regarding The Athletic? What do you want to achieve on there as the platform, as a presenter?
I'd like the Villa podcast to grow a bit more. I mean, I've absolutely got to be honest, I've got no ideas on the numbers that it pulls in, but I'd obviously like it to be one of the places that most Villa fans go to listen to their Villa podcasts. Obviously, I can gauge how many people watch and listen to the Villa View, because you can see the numbers there right in front of me, and it's good that so many people want to listen to these things. I just want to keep doing that, make them as successful as I can, and then just hope that it leads to something else. I mean, I'd love to do general football podcasts. I think that's the next step for me now. He's not moving away from Villa, because Villa will always be my bread and butter, but trying to go through, do as much as I can, and show that I've got good knowledge of general football as well. I've got a couple of things that could potentially happen at the moment, but I've been burnt before, so I know never to get your hopes up too high. You have to be in the media world. You have to get used to getting knockbacks, because however good you think you are, there'll be other people that are better than you, and there'll be other people that are better equipped, and people that know people who get pulled in to do things ahead of you. So it's always going to be tough, but I'll always be hopeful, and I'll still probably be trying to break in fully when I'm 65 years old and when I'm my dad's age. But I'll never give up, and I'll always keep trying. That's the best thing I can say to you as someone that's just starting out, is that you will get knockbacks and things will happen to you that you don't like, and possibly I didn't always react the best initially to those things, but you do get used to it, and you have to be strong, and you have to be thick-skinned, because otherwise you won't get anywhere, and you have to keep pushing as well. I mean, you'll have seen with messaging me, you have to keep asking, because it's not that people don't want to do things, but people are very busy, and you have to be prepared that people aren't always going to get back to you straight away, and you have to get used to hassling people, even if you can feel like a bit of a knob at times. You have to just keep hassling people, because if you don't, you won't get anywhere.
Yeah. So all this work that you're doing with The Athletic and the Villa View all interlocks within Aston Villa's current format. So for you then, as a presenter, as you're trying to aspire to greater things, do stories such as Dean Smith's and Jack Grealish, and the fact that they, like you said with Ian Taylor, were Aston Villa fans, would watch Aston Villa on a regular basis, and through their own resilient nature and their hard work, they've got to the place where they want to be today. Do you try and emulate them within the fan media world?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like the ship sailed with the club a little bit now. I had my year. I think they've gone in a different direction, and they've now. I think naturally, to be fair, over the last 3-4 months, they've got Michelle Owen doing it, who I really really like. I know Michelle, and I think she's really good at what she does, and fully deserved in doing stuff like that. I love watching Michelle's interviews. I think she's really really good and a real strong broadcaster, and I'm really pleased that she's involved with the club as a Villa fan as well. So I always think that's a massive thing, but it's just trying to be that person that people go to. Obviously, I've been on Sky Sports News a few times, Talk Sport, 5 Live. It's just about trying to get yourself out there as much as you can, and hoping at some point someone picks up on you and thinks, yeah, I think he'd be good at doing such and such. But I do want to be. I feel like I'm quite a well-known Villa fan. I'm a fan that people will come to for things. I'm happy doing that at the moment, and trying to just work as hard as I can to create more opportunities and do more stuff. I mean, you don't want to get yourself out there too much in Villa terms, because I think people will probably be a little bit sick of me if I'm on absolutely everything. So it's probably
I'm sure not.
It's picking. Yeah, no one's going to watch this because everyone's sick of hearing and seeing me twice a week, and also seeing me on Twitter as well. So it's trying to do the right things and not do too much, but trying to make what you do quality as well. I think that's another thing. I think sometimes you can do too much. I think in one phase maybe I was tweeting a little bit too much. I've toned that down now, and I've learned that it's probably as much about quality rather than quantity.
And being a part of the Villa View, I think yourself and Tom, I've really learned a lot from you guys in how to conduct myself on social media and on screen. So I really appreciate that, honestly.
No worries, mate. If I can help anyone in any way, I mean, it's amazing to think that people can learn stuff off me. That doesn't feel right. Tom more so, it feels a lot more right learning off Tom, because he's obviously the consummate professional with his notes and all that. I'm very off the cuff. I very rarely will have notes in front of me when I'm doing anything. I tend to just fly off the cuff. That's the way I've always been. But it's for me to hear that I've maybe taught you something, that's a privilege to me, that you would be able to learn something off me and think that I'm good at something. That's like a nice thing for me to hear, and I really appreciate it.
So, as well as yourself then, and as we've talked about Jack Grealish, Dean Smith, all these stories, looking on a broader perspective, all these youngsters who are trying to excel in certain professions, that's maybe at the early stages at school, trying to do well in their grades, etc. Yeah. Would these stories, do you think, help these youngsters to strive to achieve more, to be more confident and resilient throughout their lives? Are Grealish and Dean Smith really good role models for Aston Villa Football Club? Because in my opinion, they certainly are.
Yeah, I mean, Jack's an excellent role model. I know that he's obviously had his problems in the past and done things that he says so himself that he shouldn't have done, but he's a genuinely nice lad, a down-to-earth lad, someone I've met a few times, and I can't speak highly enough of him. He's a lovely, lovely bloke, and he comes from a lovely, lovely family as well. I think Jack Grealish is as good a role model as you can get for me, and Dean Smith as well, people that are living out your dreams, and it's a short life. So if you get to live out your dream in any way, you're very, very lucky, and you look at them living out their dreams every single week. I mean, the pressure on them must be absolutely humongous. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that side can't be easy to deal with at times. But if you're looking for role models, there's two great men there. I mean, Dean Smith built himself up from I say the lower leagues, obviously League 2 and League 1. It's not lower leagues, but you know what I mean. He's worked his way up to being a Premier League manager, and I think it's what those two have done. It's testament to putting in hard work and working hard. And there's not many things in my life I've worked hard at, but this side of things, I know that I've absolutely given 110%, and I know that I have worked hard, and I've given it my all. So whatever happens. And all you young Villa fans doing your YouTube channels and your podcast, that's all you can do. You can only try your best. You can only work hard. You can go back and look at what you've done. I think that's something that I've only recently started doing again, is go back and watch your stuff that you've done and think about ways you can improve as well, and speak to people that you trust and get advice from them on what they think. I think you surround yourself with good people and helpful people, you'll go far. And that's what Jack Grealish and Dean Smith would have done. It's completely different firms, but they'll have surrounded themselves with good people. They'll have learned from their mistakes, and they'll have worked hard at the trade, and now they're reaping the benefits.
Just quickly before we end this podcast, talking about Grealish, of course, he made his England debut quite recently. How proud of a moment was that for you as a Villa fan, seeing him on the international stage? And in fairness to him, he only had around 50 to 10 minutes, but in my opinion, I may be becoming across as biased, but I thought he did relatively well when he came on, despite being at a short period.
Yeah, it's like I've just said, like he's maximised the chance that he was given. He was given 15 minutes in what was a pretty dour game, if we're all being honest. But in that 15 minutes, he was alive and he wasn't frightened. He went out there and he just proved that he can do it. And Jack Grealish is the best attacking midfielder in the country for me. Again, that's probably a little bit biased, but for me, he should just be in the England squad. He should be in the team. And it was a proud moment for Villa fans. And I always said to myself, if he ever plays for England, I'm gonna get that shirt that he wears, get his name and his number put on the back, and I'll hold on to that and treasure it, because we've all been waiting for that for a long time. We've all known about Jack Grealish a long time. I wish it had been in a shirt that I liked a little bit more, because I really don't like that shirt, but I've had to go out and buy it, because I always said to myself that I would do it. But it's up there, to be fair, as a proud moment as a Villa fan, because he is one of us. He is a local boy, and he's just fulfilling all his dreams, and that was the ultimate for him, was playing for Villa and then going on and playing for his country, and he's done it, and long may it continue. And I've absolutely no doubt in my mind that he will go on and do more. He's got to be given the chance, because he's excellent at what he does, and for me, he's one of the best players I've ever seen play for Villa, and I've obviously been going for a fair while now.
So you've given some great pieces of advice and great insight into how your mind works and how your mind works regarding the media industry, as well as attending games and regarding socialising with people on a large scale, when you're talking about the Villa View Live, which you talk to in front of many, many people. So we talked about the youngsters of the day, and we were looking on that broad perspective. So what three words would you say to them in terms of how they should be mentally and physically when trying to achieve certain things that they do want to achieve?
You got to be resilient. That's the first one. I know this isn't 3 words now. I can't think of one word to say, but you got to aim high. So belief, you got to believe in yourself. So belief, resilience, and the third. It's a good question. That you should have prepped me with that one, because I'm coming up short here. Belief, resilience, and I would say confidence. Obviously, confidence. You have to. That's the same thing, isn't it? I've struggled there. That's one of the hardest questions I've ever been asked. I've been asked all sorts, and like off the cuff doing live things, and not struggled. But you've got me there. I can only think of 2, so I'm going to give you 2. Yeah, just the resilience and the belief. They're the 2 big things for me.
Good man, Dan. Thank you very much for speaking to me. Here we go. He's got it.
Connections. Knowing people and talking to people, networking. That's a very, very important thing. I've only become good at, to be fair, in the last 18 months or so. I've only just become good at networking. That's a very, very important thing, knowing people.
Dan, it has been a pleasure.
I got there in the end.
You got there. You got that last minute winner. Dan, it's been
that post.
And that post. It's been a pleasure, honestly, to speak to you. To, like I said, to gain insight to how you work, etc. Thank you for coming on today.
Mate, anytime. I know it's taken me a while, but I'm sorry it's taken so long. I feel really bad, but I've got there in the end. And yeah, anytime you need anything, just text me. I'm not always the best at texting back, but as I say, keep hassling, and you'll get the reply.
Well, that is Dan Bardell's life story. Please leave a like on this video, as well as subscribing to the Total Villain. Most importantly, though, stay safe, stay well, and up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
I keep being too caught up by all my demons, lost without